Welcome back to another week here on Instigating with Clarkie and Drury. I am Ryan Drury. That is Chris Clark. We're brought to you as always by our friends at CoolBet over at the Listowel Squash Courts and, of course, our friends at Listowel Vision Care and See the Game. And we're very pleased to be joined by one of our great friends, friend of the show, Dave Poulin is back on the airwaves with us. Poulin, how you doing, my friend?
Doing very well, Ryan. I see Clarkie has a new lighting coordinator, and it's really looking good. Like, he's really upgraded. It's really good.
I'm working on
it.
It
Really does. No, it looks really good. It does. The lighting is significant, and I'm working on one too. I'm working on a new one. It'll be ready next season.
Okay, well, mine will be ready soon. I got to get some shelving. I want to get the O-Dog look behind me. I love his look there behind him. Now, I just noticed you have a red sweater. I'm presuming it's not a Habs jersey, but you never know. Oh, it's your Olympic stuff. Pooley, tell us what you're going to be doing with the Olympics.
So I'm doing the panel on CBC for the men's games, and with James Duffy and Glenn Healy. And so that's the group. And sort of an ad hoc group, and really looking forward to it. It's going to be, I never worked the Olympics and got the opportunity to do it. And, at first it was, do you have an interest in going to Beijing? And this was, a few months back, and it was like, yeah. And then as the rules started to drop, boy, it was proving to be tougher and tougher. And so now it's just developed. Everybody will be in studio. Telecast, everything's from studio. And Brian Mudrick and Cheryl Pounder got things off to a great start last night, I thought. Muddy was great. The jerseys were tough, guys. I don't like reading that red number on the black jersey. That's a tough gig. And some of the third jerseys in themselves are like, okay, did anybody actually think about what it's like to sit and try and, now you do it an NHL guy, you know what Brendan Gallagher looks like out there, but, you're doing other games and it's really, really hard. I thought they did a great job last night, particularly with the Canadian jerseys, which that was a tough read.
I agree. As a broadcaster and just calling games now in the OHL, I mean, it's so annoying when, I get it. Like, they got to sell jerseys and they get, everybody wants to be different and sell new stuff. But like the back, like, leave that alone. Like, just have the white lettering that is just crystal clear. Yeah.
Sell the front, Ryan.
Why are you making it difficult? Like, the red on black is a tough look. And I don't even think it particularly looks aesthetically that good either. And then on top of that, it's really hard to read. And you're right. Muddy and the gang did a great job. Him and Cheryl Pounder, like, that is so hard. I don't think people realize that watch it on TV, how difficult it can be to read the names, especially, international players that you've maybe never seen before from Switzerland, and you're trying to read their names.
But here's the deal with that one. So I do the Champions League as well from Europe. And I ride that play-by-play guy. Like, at the minute he says a name, I'm saying it 3 times.
Yeah.
I'm going with his pronunciation, and you're getting it 3 times from me right out of the gate. Boom, boom, boom.
100%. That's exactly the way you should do it. I mean, you got to be cohesive, right? But come on, guys. Like, can somebody talk to somebody at Team Canada, clean these letters up a little bit? Like, let's make it easy to broadcast these great athletes.
I'm not sure what the men are doing exactly in jerseys, and maybe I should know that, but I will in a few days.
I think they're wearing the same jerseys, Pooley.
So they're going black and red.
I think so. Yeah. Like
what happened to red and white?
Yeah. Like, what was broken about red and white?
Where did black come from?
Especially when you only see it every 4 years. I mean,
right.
I know. Somebody was like, "Oh, let's be different." Whatever. It's like, yeah, I understand, but geez.
Yeah.
Don't, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, I think the new design of like the maple leaf looks pretty cool and everything. Like, I don't have a problem with that, but just the color decision is not good.
Yeah, I'm going red and white. It's just me personally, but I didn't get a vote. I'm stunned by that.
Yeah, they should have consulted you. We wouldn't have a problem here. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, guys. Like, geez. So mentioning the Olympics, Pooley, and we got a lot to talk about with you as the NHL heads into the All-Star break. But you're going to be doing the men's games for Team Canada. Pretty interesting roster. A lot of veteran NHL names that people are familiar with, of course, with guys like David Desharnais, Eric Stahl. But then they've got a cool mix of some young guys. Mason McTavish heading over there. Owen Power as well. I mean, they have a pretty interesting roster that actually looks like it could stack up very, very well.
It is going to be intriguing, and I do have the advantage of having seen a lot of these guys in recent years because of, a Ben Street who plays for Red Bull Munich, guys like that. But it's also my work in the American Hockey League because a lot of these guys went through the AHL as well at various points. Through the drafts when I was working with the Leafs, so Brandon Gormley, who was a first rounder to the Islanders, guys like that pop up and you're like, Matt Tompkins, one of the goaltenders, is playing for Frölunda in the Swedish league. He played at Ohio State for 4 years. So between sort of my NCAA background, my draft work, the U18 stuff, but I was asked by a mother today, a good friend, her little guy is 6 years old and he's fallen in love with hockey and he wants to watch the Olympics. And she said, give me a couple names, for the Olympic team, who you should watch. And I said, well, there's a couple of young guys. Number one, they have really cool names. But number two, I think they're both special players. And that's Owen Power and Mason McTavish. Like, I think this Mason McTavish is going to be just a handful for anybody to deal with. He's 19 years old, guys. And the abrasiveness of his game is beautiful. Like, it just is. He's played 9 games in the National Hockey League. But he's going to be a really good fit with that Anaheim club because of their skill set. They've got your Troy Terrys and your Trevor Zegrases and your Jamie Drysdales, but man, are they bringing an abrasive, you're coming to the party with me guy in there in McTavish. I love his game. And so I told her to have her 6-year-old watch these two. Number one, because they're only a few years older than he is. And number two, I think they're both really fun players to watch.
What about Marley's Josh Hosang? What do you see in him? And do you think, well, first of all, what are the rules if the Leafs did want to call him up? I'm a little confused on that. But do you think there's a chance that he may see some action with the Leafs?
Let's go through waivers, Clarky. They have to put him on waivers. He signed it to an AHL contract, not an NHL deal. So to bring him up, you'd have to sign him. You'd have to put him through waivers. And so it's kind of a cursed, a double-edged sword here in that you're hoping he does really well. And, he's, but the better he does, the harder you're going to have to get him through waivers. And so it's going to be, I think he's one of the ones with the most to gain from this in his age group. He's 26 years old. He's one of the can't miss kids I wrote about last Sunday, actually, Brandon Gormley being the other one. Really high draft picks, big pedigrees, and it just hasn't worked out yet. Neither one has ruled out that it can work out. And I think both have an eye on having a great tournament and seeing what happens. Hosang, ultra talented. The guys that play with him really like him. And I know he's gotten a bad rap over the years and, things like being late on the first day of training camp for Lou Lamoriello, like that's probably not going to work. You probably want to set about 9 alarm clocks if you're, in the Islanders camp and not get sent home the first day. So you carry a bit of luggage in when you come in, but his skill level is good. And you know what? People figure it out at different ages, and maybe he's figured it out. So I think it's a golden opportunity for him. With whatever he chooses to do moving forward, it's a really, really great platform for him to put it out there.
So I just want to clarify. So if he is going to play in the National Hockey League this year, he has to clear waivers. What if the Leafs trade him? Will the team that trades for him, would he have to clear waivers for them as well? Yeah. So then he's sort of not a trade bait then.
You wouldn't trade for him, right? He's on an AHL deal.
Yeah, you'd have to put him through irrevocable waivers. The Leafs actually don't own his NHL rights.
Right. Yep. Clarky. No, for sure.
But you're right, Poulin. Like, it is a unique opportunity for him. And, you know, I remember watching him in the OHL. Like, this guy was as dynamic an OHLer as I've seen. Like, he was making a lot of magical plays with the Niagara Ice Dogs. The fans loved him. He was an entertainer, wearing 66, like soaking it up. You know, great skater, good on his edges, really, really elite vision. Remember, this is a guy that played in the GTHL on a line with Connor McDavid. And back when they were 13 or 14, people actually thought that Ho-Sang was better than McDavid at that age. Like, this
that's the first time I went to see them. I went to see them. One of my scouts dragged me out, and it was the what do they call it? It wasn't the Marlies Cup. It was I think it was the 14-year-old tournament. And we went out to see him. And McEwen, the defenseman, was on that team as well. And they were both playing up, and it was like, the skill level is there without a question. And, you know, has he figured it out? But what an opportunity. You know, we interviewed a bunch of guys the other day, and the excitement level across the board of a 37-year-old Eric Stahl talked about his 12-year-old son saying, "Dad, are you crazy? You got to do this." You know, like, he's got 3 boys and all pushing him to do it. And, you know, Matt Tompkins is 27 years old. He played 4 years at Ohio State and then made a decision after 4 years in the minors to go to Europe. And I said, Matt, do you watch a 29-year-old Jack Campbell come into his own and say, you know, I'm only 27. Do I, you know, with a great Olympic performance? And the goaltenders, the 31-year-old Eddie Pasquale, may have a little bit of an edge. He's been in the KHL for 3 years. But the kid, Devin Levi, that played last year, he was hilarious. He said, I was on Instagram and I saw a post that said maybe Devin Levi is a candidate for the Olympic team. And I called my agent and said, am I a candidate for the Olympic team? Do I qualify? Like, can I do that? And that's how he found out. His agent said, well, you are technically if the NHL players don't go. And the enthusiasm, you know, that the 20-year-old had was in stark contrast to the cool, collected 37-year-old Eric Stahl. But they're all so excited. You know, obviously, you know, someone we work with, Ray Ferraro, talks about his son Landon, and, you know, never quite in the right place at the right time. And key injury at a key time when it was an opportunity, get to a lineup that's loaded up at your position. Team is going along well, you don't get a chance, whatever it might be. And he's playing over in the DEL as well in Germany, but just a great opportunity. It's going to be a fun tournament, be a level playing field for everybody. And the guys that I talk to feel that the Russian team will be the best suited because they'll have, you know, some really good KHL players, but, you know, guys that we've seen over here like Gusev and guys like that. So, yeah, I think it's going to be fun.
What are the COVID are they testing over there, Poulin? Just have the same chance to go down the same road as the juniors? Where are we at? I'm sorry, I don't know, but I just wanted you to let me know.
It does, and there's a fraction. I don't want to get this wrong, but there's a numerical attachment to the testing, and their numerical attachment is higher, meaning more demanding than ours is. So they don't know if that's going to be a factor somewhere down the line. My understanding is it's still 5 days. And so that's a good thing. A lot of these guys have had it, Clarkie, so that's a good thing. But it is looming. It is still looming.
But they are in a bubble.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. I've talked to guys that were over there. They're not going anywhere. Anywhere. Yeah. They're in a total bubble. They're not touring.
No weddings at the hotels.
They're not touring Beijing, and no one's touring their facilities. So
yeah, good.
That in that way, it has a chance. Now you're putting people together from all over the world.
Yeah.
Let's face it. You know.
Oh yeah.
You know, we know what our restrictions are. We particularly know in Ontario what our restrictions were. But you're throwing people together from all over the world, so you're just hopeful that, and we'll know pretty quickly, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be great. I think that the men's team, the roster they put together, lots of intrigue there. I mean, I've watched Mason McTavish a lot this year. I think he's probably going to help the Hamilton Bulldogs on a very, very long OHL playoff.
Yeah, they loaded up, didn't they? They sort of snuck in there. Well, that Ryan Winterton too, being healthy is a double plus. And I think his first game was Mason McTavish's first game, and he lit it up. So they did a nice job. It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, him coming back is almost a free pickup. And then, add Arbor Jackeye into the mix. I think Hamilton is setting their sights on a potential OHL title run.
So as a play-by-play announcer, Ryan, the first time you saw Arbor Jackeye's name, what did you say to yourself?
Yeah, well, I mean, I had watched him play on the Kitchener broadcast a couple times already, but the first time that I saw his name when they picked him up, because remember, this is a guy that was undrafted in the OHL and the NHL. He's actually an incredible story. Like, we're talking about a kid that was working at Costco 2 years ago. He thought he'd have to give up hockey. He's a really, really cool story. Yeah, the first time I saw his name, I thought maybe it was like Jacaj, like an X, like Xavier. But when
you see it in print, it's unbelievable.
It really throws you off. It's a bizarre collection of consonants, and it's like it really throws you off. I thought Jacaj, Exagajaj. Like I was like, what is this? But yeah, Arbor Jackeye. Once you kind of get it explained to you, you're like, okay, cool, Jackeye.
I did a couple of Montreal exhibition games, and they signed him during the exhibition season, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm blanking on who the other TV or radio guys came into our booth, just said,
help us.
What?
Like, help? And I think the kid's got a chance to play. He's tough as nails. Like, he's really tough. He's almost a throwback. The stay-home defenseman who's, but what a cool rock star name. Holy smokes.
It's a great handle, and you're right. He is tough. And yeah, I agree with the throwback assessment. Like when he was still with the Rangers earlier this season, a lot of great battles with the Guelph Storm. And he got himself suspended a couple times this year for just getting in a scrum and horse collaring guys to the ground. Like he's a really skilled player and has all the tools there. Good skater, nice shot, good power play weapon at this level. He is mean. That's
he seems to like attribute. It too.
He does.
There's a difference. There's guys that can do it, but it doesn't come naturally to them. But he seems to be just quite comfortable with it, which is. I always went into the other corner when those guys went. I go into Clarkie's corner.
Yeah,
Clarkie's corner. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm excited. I've never heard of this guy. You guys are educating me here. Is he? So he's passed on the draft, or is he in the draft? What's happening? Where is he? Him. The NHL draft.
Yeah, he got passed over.
So he's a free agent.
Montreal brought him to camp.
Okay.
Yeah, Montreal signed him.
Montreal did. Montreal.
Yeah, okay. Too bad for you. And like Poulin.
Yeah, I was getting excited there. Well, let's continue on this defenseman and toughness, and let's change topics. I don't care where Ryan wanted to go. Let's talk about the Maple Leafs. What do you see having to happen to this Maple Leaf team the rest of the way here? Are they going to make a splash in the trade market, and what do they need to do if they do?
Yeah, let's start up front, Clarkie, because that's the place that they've been the best this year. Mm-hmm. Although Jack Campbell fans would argue with that, but they've been really good up front.
Yep.
And Sheldon Keefe, a week and a half, 10 days ago, said, okay, I'm going to split the big guys up and we're going to make 3 lines out of this. And that didn't last very long. And I made a comment the other night on TV that I've been a part of a line, and that was in Philadelphia with Brian Propp and Tim Kerr for the better part of almost 6 years, like 5.5 years. And we'd be going along great. And they'd say, hey, you know what? We're going to break you up. We got to get so-and-so going. And I'd always look at the coach and say, how about so-and-so getting himself going? How about leaving us alone over here?
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, it was always about trying to find the best balance. And it seemed like, those guys, those 4 guys are so skilled. I mean, they can play with anybody, but what's the best combination? Well, the best combination to me is Matthews and Marner. Okay, so start there. And let the other guys figure it out. And to me, that's the best thing to do because they are so dynamic together. And now with Michael Bunting being a really effective ingredient that the Leafs did not have in the past. I mean, he's a royal pain to play against. He's as annoying as can be, and he doesn't need the puck. And he knows that, but he'll go get the puck, and he keeps plays going. He gets in people's grill, so now that's your first line. Put that over to the side. Now figure it out from there. I think Willie and Tavares stay together, and it looks like that's Kerfoot. And I actually like Kampf and Kasha together, and so that's probably Mikheyev. And now you're in pretty good shape if everybody's healthy. And your fourth line's going to have Spezza and Simmons and, however it figures out, Engvall or whatever it is. Moving to the backside, not so comfortable there. And, you start with the obvious first pairing. And it's interesting because put Brody and Riley aside, and Justin Hall really benefited from a really effective Jake Muzzin. Justin Hall benefited and became an NHL defenseman because of that partner at 28 years old. But normally when that happens, when you put a pairing together like that, the younger guy elevates as he gets comfortable, and then the workload or the efficiency load shifts a little bit from the older guy to the younger guy. That hasn't happened. Justin Hall is not absorbing more, so Jake Muzzin can absorb a little less. In fact, I think Justin Hall has actually, regressed a little bit. So when they're healthy, that's your number 3 and 4. I think Justin Hall is perfectly suited to be a 6 in the NHL. And that's where it is. The two young kids at spots, Liljegren and Sandin, have looked good. I think Sandin's a little bit further ahead. And Travis Dermott just hasn't seemed to figure it out. He just has not figured it out. And I really like Travis Dermott, but it just hasn't worked for him yet. And part of it is he hasn't had the luxury of a real steady partner, just because he hasn't. And even left side, right side, he got hurt at a critical time, but that hasn't worked out. They'll be in the market. Clarky, they'll be in the market for sure. And we were asked the question as a quiz question the other night. And I think I said Josh Manson. The reason I said Manson was because when a guy got traded from the other conference into my conference, I didn't like the fact that I didn't know him as well. And does anybody, you see Anaheim a couple times, but do you really know Josh Manson? Plus he's got the name. Yep. But he's also got the switch, which flips just enough. There's a little uncertainty there, and I like that. I like that. Yeah. I like the fact he's a right shot. And I think of the other guys, I think most of them were left shots in the other option. And I know they were all from the Eastern Conference. He was the only Western Conference. So that's why I factored in the Josh Manson. But he's a UFA at the end of the year, but Anaheim's a pretty good team. They're in the playoffs right now. They're not going to.
Right. Why would they give them up?
I think people just look, the quiz master, he looks at UFAs that, they're cool names that we've talked about in the past because, maybe you could have shopped there a couple of years ago when Anaheim was down and out. But Anaheim and the California teams, guys, and they're not going away. And, Anaheim went away right now. And so where you were thinking that players from those teams were going to be available in trades, and it's going to hurt because right now the West isn't sorted. The East is sorted, guys. I think the 8 teams that are in the top right now are in the playoffs.
So you've been in the general manager's office. What would other teams be looking at from the Maple Leafs to make a deal like that? Or especially Montreal, who has that pending UFA that they're going to move?
Mikheyev.
Mikheyev is.
But he's a UFA too.
He's a UFA. He is. You'd have to figure that one out ahead of time with the agent, right? You'd have to. You'd have to have
and maybe vice versa, right? Maybe vice versa.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's not a lot of depth right now. I mean, is Nick Robertson
I'm just trying to play talk radio? That's all.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Sure Nick Robertson's a chip right now. You're not maximizing the chip for sure.
No.
And there's not a lot there. No, in fact, he's arguably a detriment, right?
Yeah, he's more of an anchor at this
Absolutely.
point.
And he's got a year left on the deal as well. Well, so it's going to be tough for them. You can always move draft picks ahead in the future, and you could always. I mean, is there a player on Arizona that you like? Because clearly they'll move him. For a draft pick in 2025. They've got. I mean, they would, right?
Yeah.
As far as you can go, I think you can go to 24 for sure. But as far as you can go, they'll go out.
Yeah, 3 years ahead of time, I think. And I mean, Arizona. Yeah, let's talk about that. I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, we gotta. Yeah, I mean, the Maple Leafs are gonna do something. I don't know what they have other than Nick Robertson. I don't know if you want to give up on a guy like that with that kind of a goal scoring ceiling. Is Liljegren a guy that you maybe flip for a veteran guy like Sherratt? I don't know. Mikheyev obviously wants to go somewhere else, playing well. UFA. Yeah, they'll have to sort it out. But Arizona, speaking of sorting things out, Poulin, I mean, like, you played in some great markets, like Philly, Boston. I mean, you can't get much better than that in terms of American markets. And you were a captain in the NHL, like, a lot of pride there. Like, how pissed off are other guys watching what's going on in Arizona right now, especially at the owners' table? Like, they've got to, like, there's no way these guys are happy watching this with this team about to play in a rink of 5,000 at a college with a brand new D1 team where they technically wouldn't be able to put ads on the ice, maybe some on the boards. Like, this is a gong show down there. At what point, what is it going to take for the league to bite the bullet like they had to with Atlanta and just move this team to Quebec or somewhere?
I don't think it's going to happen under this commissioner's watch, Ryan. I just don't. I think he's committed to the Arizona market. You know what? It should be a good market. I get that part of it. I know why this ownership group was looked at as being effective is because they have the casino rights. Flat out. They got the casino rights. And when they get done what they hope to do, and they use the word hope to do, I can see why it would work. Now, they move back east. They move away from Glendale and back to Tempe. So you're just below Scottsdale, which is where it has to be. And it's the real estate play, right? You build up a big, beautiful complex and it's got everything around it. That's what it is. But is that 3 or 4 years from now? And from a revenue sharing, if I'm another management group, there's no way they're getting revenue sharing. Not a chance. In fact,
no.
I would want to charge them over and above.
Yeah.
Leader. I mean, if you're going to do that, there has to be a price that comes with it. And you can tell me all you want about the future and what the monies are going to be. I want those future monies now to even things out for the next 3 or 4 years. Because if not only are you not contributing to revenue sharing, and listen, I did the books for the Leafs. I know the check we wrote. I mean, it went across my desk. So I know how much they contributed to the revenue sharing pile. And it is significant. And to do that and then watch, a team not be able to produce at all on the revenue side, I don't see how it works. I just don't. And okay, is it still a threat? There's still a beautiful rink in Glendale. Is this all just, we're still going to go back to Glendale, but, for 2 to 3 years, but we're going to play this card to maximize that card? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a mess down there. And I mean, I just don't understand what the market has given Gary Bettman in the NHL to warrant this type of soldiering and white knighting on their behalf. I really don't. And if I'm the owners in Seattle and Vegas after spending upwards of $600 million to get a franchise, I'm pissed off. Like, this is a gong show. Speaking of gong shows, boy, did Rocky Wirtz ever put himself and the Chicago Blackhawks right back in the target reticule of the sports world? I don't even want to say the hockey world. Rocky Wirtz on Wednesday night, by the end of that Chicago Blackhawks town hall, if that's what we're going to call it, he was the number 3 trending topic on Twitter in the United States. Poulin.
I haven't seen Twitter blow up like that for hockey in, I don't even know. Like, people are going to weigh in on different subjects. Every single person was weighing in on that last night. And it was staggering. I mean, it really was. And with what they've gone through, another story coming out today, just, boy, oh boy. You could see his son. Picture that dining room table on a Sunday night. When he tried to interject and say, here's, I can tell you some of the things that we're doing and going to do. And Dad said, no, you're not.
Which shows you that's half the problem right there.
You're not. Yeah. And, it's funny because I lived in Chicago when the patriarch Bill Wirtz passed away. And I worked in private industry for 2 years, which is a whole different podcast, guys. It was a pretty cool gig. And I stepped out of the hockey world for 2 years in 2007, 8, 9, over those 2 years. And I lived 2.5 miles from where I worked. And so I walked home every night, whatever the weather was. And so during the first year, now there might have been a stop or two along the way. Okay. So, I duck my head into a bar or wherever and have a bite to eat, or, I didn't walk straight home every night, but I did walk home every night. Unless it was pouring rain, I took the bus, just out of principle. So I watched when Bill Wirtz passed away and Rocky came in from the other side of the business, right? He was in the liquor business, and it was Peter that was the president of the Blackhawks at that time. The other brother. And he came in and he did 3 things. The first thing he did was he put games on local television, and home games, and they hadn't been on local TV ever, because the patriarch thought that if they were on local TV, no one would go to the building.
That's right.
And so I watched the interest pick up as I was walking home and walking by all these fine establishments on Rush Street, which was right down my route. Clarkie, you may not be familiar with Rush Street. And, and watched smokes. Hockey games were on in every bar you were walking by. Jonathan Taves had just landed, but was still at North Dakota. Kane hadn't been drafted. They brought Pat Foley back as a play-by-play announcer. That was number 2. And he fired his brother, Peter. That was number 3. And then he brought, simultaneous to firing Peter, he brought John McDonough in, who was the president of the Chicago Cubs, who were on a real roll at that point, actually. The Cubbies had just been on a really good roll. So he made all these moves and elevated the franchise to a whole different level, which makes last night's performance a contradiction to what he did to essentially the renaissance of the Blackhawks. They had drafted Taves, they drafted Kane, they elevated Joel Quenneville after 4 games to the coach. All of a sudden, they were in the conference finals the first year, and then they won the Stanley Cup in 2010, and then they won 2 more. So he was the guy, and he was the guy. And to see that transformation last night was shocking, and it was really shocking. Now, whether that thinking, I don't think any of us are capable of getting inside the head to know what was the thought process was, but was it, we paid a lot of money to not talk about Kyle Beach? We're not talking about Kyle Beach. I don't know. I don't know if that, I don't know. But you could see the young woman sitting next to him, I believe was Jamie Faulkner,
Yeah.
who was the president of business operations, right? And then his son, Danny. And to watch their faces while that was going on was wow.
Yeah.
Like it was really, and Danny did try and interject.
Yeah.
And was shut right down. Oh, yeah. He tried.
Which would put you right in, to me, that just put me inside a meeting room when all this might have been going down and seeing what kind of reaction you get from a guy like that. Like it just like hit home. And it's like, Gretzky said it well too. Like if I had a kid who's going to be drafted by this team, I want to know what they've put into place. And why is it a secret?
Yeah, I think that's one of the most damning things, right? And I say this out of complete respect to Wayne, but Wayne has never been known as a guy, even throughout his career and even now as an analyst, where he's actually opened up a lot more. He's a pretty reserved guy. Like Wayne Gretzky generally was not a guy that you would go after for a big headline quote. He's just a very quiet guy, measured, gives you like a very direct.
He's good though on TNT. I think he's really loose on that show. I like him.
He is. He's loosened up a lot, but generally
I think that the crew he's working with is what's loosened him up, right? There's a comfort level he has. He played with Tocchet.
Yes.
Worked with Tocchet. That's a long standing friendship that started in '87 at the Canada Cup. And clearly has a comfort level with Bissonnette, and I think Liam's doing a really good job. But they've essentially drawn him up. I agree with you, Ryan. I think he was speaking as a father last night. I don't think he was speaking as a hockey superstar.
Yeah. I completely 100%. Agree. And I guess just my point is knowing that about Wayne, like all hockey fans, for him to come out and be that direct and just say, if I had an 18-year-old son, I'd want to know, based on what we know that happened, what this organization's doing. And producer Adam, he threw up there for our viewers the statement Rocky put out late last night after he basically realized that he had really tanked his reputation and further the franchise's reputation from Poulin, like you detailed what he had risen it up to and now forever tarnished.
Yeah, so it's all good now. It's all good now. He put
no, because he says in the statement, we're going to continue doing all this good work. And I saw Greg Wyshynski among many other, like you said, Poulin, hockey and news personalities, particularly in Chicago, tweet out, if you're doing such good work, share it. What on earth prompted that last night? And I don't care how much money you allegedly paid to Kyle Beach and John Doe 2. And now today, Rick Westhead with more reporting that a John Doe 3's come forward from Miami University High School where Brad Aldrich went, and just some more really damning stuff on behalf of the Blackhawks in terms of basically going to bat and getting this guy jobs after they knew what had happened. And then to have him do that last night and put on a 5-year-old temper tantrum display that would be embarrassing given anything. I thought that interaction that he had with the media, whether it was about Kyle Beach and the seriousness of this situation or just anything, nonsensical like the coach or GM search that he wanted to turn the subject to, I thought that was so embarrassing for him to act like that with the media. And
Ryan, it was almost like it was like they were doing something that he wanted to be proprietary.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's not what this is about. If you do have something really good, I mean, this is the guy that invented insulin and gave it back to the University of Toronto for a buck, right? Like, that's what this should be. Like, let's fix this. This isn't about somebody making money from this.
No.
And, and that's a famous story that essentially, I have a daughter who's a full-blown diabetic and relies on insulin. So I'm familiar with it. And, this is something that if there is something that an organization is doing really well about this, it should be absolutely shared on every platform. Forget just in hockey, just in a business, just in sport.
Yeah.
So the comment that if you work for our company, we'll tell you what we're doing, that's not what the subject is. Like, if you have a new sales formula for how to sell beer faster than somebody, and that's not the subject we're talking about here. And that was the really shocking part. And and I think, and I know, should say I know some teams are doing some really good things. And and I do have a good friend in Chicago in the organization, and I know the work they're trying to put in place. And it's all great. Say that.
Right.
Tell people that.
Yeah.
Like it's nobody, it's not like somebody's going to take it from you and say, we're doing this now, and now it's to our advantage. And that's not what it's about. It's about fixing it. It's about fixing it. Whoever fixes it first, share it with everybody. Whatever. We're talking about a subject that's, we've all got to get better at everything we do. But that subject in particular should be, if somebody has a magic formula, by all means share it.
Yeah.
I completely agree, Poulin. It was not a banner night for the Blackhawks or the NHL. And, all that winning, I mean, I feel bad for some of the players anyway, in a way, because, I mean, at least to me and to many fans in Chicago who, have canceled season tickets, and that crowd the other night against Minnesota after that town hall, there weren't a lot of people there. I mean, 10 years ago, the United Center, you couldn't get in there. And the fans.
Well, I've seen every iteration though, Ryan, because in 2000, when I was scouting for Anaheim in 2000, like 5, 6, 7, I was scouting for Anaheim, and there were 5,000 or 6,000 people in the United Center, and it's a huge building.
Oh, I know.
Because I remember we had a scout, and he used to say, I'm going to go down and grab section 226 for the third. And he'd go sit there, and he'd be the only guy in the whole section. He'd be pointing at us and waving, and you know what? And then I watched absolutely as it transformed. And, and I was in that building during the playoffs when they were winning their cups. And I was fortunate enough when they were winning their cups, to be there through that stretch. And it was, I mean, unbelievable. And so I've seen it before, seen it after, and seen it before again. It looks like, unfortunately.
Yep.
Yeah. All that turnaround, and it's all tarnished, basically due to the arrogance and negligence of many, many people at the top. Poulin, we really appreciate you doing this, man. Congrats on the Olympics gig. We'll be watching. We're excited to see what Team Canada has, and always look forward to watching your great work on the Leafs games, all the TSN stuff. We really appreciate you doing this, my friend.
Always a pleasure, guys. I felt bad I couldn't get here on a Thursday night. They had me working every Thursday night. So I was like, the minute I had a clear night, Clarky caught me.
That's right.
All good. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. We appreciate it, Poulin. Thanks for doing this. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap up with some more thoughts here on the Blackhawks and NHL All-Star Weekend coming up as well here on Instigating. Backdrop things up on Instigating with Clarky and Drury. I am Ryan Drury. That's Chris Clark. Thanks so much to our great friend Dave Poulin of TSN Hockey, and of course writing for the Toronto Star as well. Love having Poulin on the show.
He's the best. Well, one of the best for sure. We get a lot of good guests, but he's really good. He's right up there. Top 3.
We love Poulin. He's a great friend of the show, and then the other program that we used to be on. Like, Poulin always makes time for us. He is the best, and I really appreciated his thoughts, Clarky, on this Blackhawks thing. And not that anybody had forgotten about Kyle Beach and the unfortunate. I don't think anybody ever should forget about that, but obviously it came back with a roaring rage based on what Rocky Wirtz did last night. We referenced it a lot in the temper tantrum that he went on with Mark Lazarus and numerous other members of the Chicago media. We have the video here from Twitter. Producer Adam, let's just roll that now. The back and forth between Rocky Wirtz and some of the members of the Chicago media.
Back also, and I think much of what happened to Kyle Beach stemmed from a power imbalance between a coach and a player, and the powerlessness of a player in that situation. So what are the Blackhawks doing? What have the Blackhawks done? What will the Blackhawks do to empower a player in a similar situation to make sure that doesn't happen again?
I'm going to answer the question at the end. I think the report speaks for itself. The people that were involved are no longer here. We're not looking back at 2010. We're looking forward. And we're not going to talk about 2010. I know, and I'm not either. And we're not going to talk about what happened. We're moving forward. That is my answer. Now, what's your next question?
I can pick up to what we are doing today. And I think
No, I don't know. That's none of your business. That's none of your business. What we're going to do today is our business. I don't think it's any of your business.
How is it not my business?
Because I don't think it's any of your business. You don't work for the company. If someone in the company asks that question, we'll answer it. And I think you should get on to the next subject. We're not going to talk about Kyle Beach. We're not going to talk about anything that happened. Now we're moving on. What more do I have to say? You want to keep asking the same question to hear the same answer? Okay, ask the next question.
You said enough right there.
Okay.
A little mystified here because during the Jenner and Block briefing, you guys talked about a change in culture and transparency and demonstrating the new culture and values that are going to protect players and protect the organization in the future. And it seems like the second that we asked a question about that, it's met with resistance. So I'm going to ask it again.
I answered it.
No, I don't.
I answered it, and I told you to get off the subject.
You didn't tell me,
We're not going to bring up the report.
No,
You read it?
We're not asking about the report. We're
I know
asking
you're talking about what the report was talking about, and I told you we're moving on. Now,
We're
I don't
asking
like
about
these.
the
I think you're
values
out
and
of
the
line
protections
to ask
for
this
the
line of
future.
questions. Why don't you ask about something else? Why don't you ask about the GM
Okay, I
search?
will
Why
ask
don't you do
about-
something else?
Okay, I
Why
will
do you
ask
bring
about
up
attendance.
old business?
Some of the season ticket holders that I've talked to said that they're having trouble maintaining value on their resale because, a lot of people.
Is that a
they're
fact?
selling- wait a minute,
I
can
didn't
finish
realize
my-
you're in our ticket department.
Okay, what
Come
I'm
on.
saying is.
Why, come on.
if I could-
Let's
if-
talk about all the negative stuff. When I
This
talk
is
about
not
your paper
negative.
and, how,
People-
and what the
these
sports
are
page looks like,
dedicated-
should I do that?
No, these are dedicated.
Yeah, you can't even
fans.
get our
They
elite
want the
scores?
whole- Rocky, can I finish my question? They say they want to hold on because they value the Blackhawks, but they wanted to defray some of the costs. You've seen that attendance has been dipping. I want to ask why you think it's dipping and what can they do to maintain their value so when they renew a package, they can defray some of their costs. That's a fair question.
Yes, it is. So Jamie can answer that.
So, I mean, as you can see there, this was blowing up last night. I pretty much saw it breaking right as it went down. Mario Tirabassi, I believe his name is, one of the Chicago media members, was the first one I saw tweeting the video out of this town hall. I'm just so appalled by this. I mean, for everything that Rick Westhead and Mark Lazarus and Scott Power and Katie Strang and everybody that worked on this really disturbing story uncovered and what we all learned about and that half-hour interview that Kyle Beach did. I can't believe that was what we heard from Rocky Wirtz last night. And Clarky, I don't know your opinion on this, but honestly, I'll take a hard stance here. I really feel that the NHL should remove Rocky Wirtz from the league. I don't think that this guy should be allowed to be involved in sports at any level ever again. He has shown nothing short of an arrogance and petulance that is befitting of a 5-year-old. And that is not what we need when we're talking about leading a professional sports organization that's responsible for the lives of, like Wayne Gretzky said, 18-year-old kids who are still figuring life out. Brad Aldrich and the people that buried this under the rug, under the stewardship of Rocky Wirtz, whether, he knew intimate details at the time or not, this is his ship and he's steering it. They destroyed this young man's life. They destroyed his opportunity to have an NHL career and earn millions potentially of dollars. He was a really good junior player. Brad Aldrich abused him and took that away from him, as did the Blackhawks afterward. Then they went to bat for him and got him a job at a prestigious hockey academy, the Miami University of Ohio High School, where he has allegedly sexually assaulted not just John Doe 2, but now another John Doe III has come forward, along with 2 other potential plaintiffs who are weighing another class action lawsuit. We learned that today on Thursday from Rick Westhead. Can't thank that guy enough for the job he's done. I think, Clarky, that every day that Gary Bettman and Bill Daly allow this guy to continue running the Chicago Blackhawks is a stain on the league, the sport, and this entire organization. The winning that was done in Chicago is forever irrelevant to me and to many of their fans. Some won't care, and I guess that's their prerogative. But everything achieved there is forever stained by this and this man. And they should be giving this guy the Donald Sterling treatment that the NBA did and be removing him immediately from this league. I think it's embarrassing. And I mean, even his own son tried to get in his way and he gave him the Heisman in that video. It's an embarrassment to this sport. And really, at the end of the day, and most importantly, an embarrassment and a spit in the face of Kyle Beach and the other victims of Brad Aldrich.
Ryan, it starts at the top. And if that's the way the leadership of the Chicago Blackhawks is, and we saw it, and I can just, when I said to Poulin, I could picture myself in a meeting when he told his son, no, we're not telling them anything. I can just see in a meeting of the kind of back and forth that this guy was probably doing a non-leadership. But it also starts at the top with the league. And we have seen nothing from Gary Bettman to show us that he has the guts, the balls, whatever you want to call it, to do something like this. He didn't even remove Joel Quenneville. He just let Joel resign and step aside.
He coached the game.
He coached a game when all this was going on. Like, Gary Bettman has no credibility with this, and it's disgusting. It really is. And I think he needs to be held accountable as well. And what has he been there now? 28 years. Time has passed him on. He needs to be removed too. And I put myself in the position of, the unfortunate situation with Maple Leaf Gardens and Gordon Stuckless and Martin Cruz and that situation. Yeah. You know what? Ken Dryden got out in front of that one as the president of the hockey team and held a press conference about it. And it was addressed and he was asked questions. And that hasn't happened here at all. And that was half the problem, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that I would assume is the first time that maybe Rocky Wirtz has been in front of the media since this has happened. And what did he expect that was going to happen? He knew exactly what was going to happen. He knew the question was coming. And he knew exactly what he was going to say. And it was such the wrong thing to say. It was disgusting. It just, really minimalized what Kyle Beach went through. And it was just awful. And there should be some heads rolling. You're absolutely right. He's the owner and CEO, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's hard to remove those people. But as you mentioned.
Well, the NBA, a much more prominent league than the NHL did it.
Right. Exactly.
With one of the richest owners in the league.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
That
I know you're absolutely right. It has to happen.
That tape
should have happened already.
Absolutely.
It should have happened already.
It should have happened last night.
Gary Bettman has no balls.
He has no spine at all.
Zero.
It's embarrassing. When you look at his successor in the, because remember, Gary Bettman, for our younger fans, he was the commissioner of the NBA before he took on this role, and then Adam Silver. Now
he was He was the second in command.
Was he not the NBA commissioner?
No, he worked under what's his name? Stern.
Yeah, David Stern.
Yeah.
And then Stern obviously continued on for a long time, and now it's Adam Silver. When the Donald Sterling thing happened, and if you're not familiar with what I'm referencing, just Google it. We don't have time to break that fiasco down. Mm-hmm. Within a day, the NBA Board of Governors had a meeting, and he was gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
Absolutely.
Like, you're selling this team, Don, today. Mm-hmm. And he did.
And he should have been removed a long time ago.
Oh,
not just after this incident. He should have been removed when this first came out.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
I completely agree. And it's so it just makes everything that franchise, and hey, Poulin talked about it with us. I mean, it's that old story, like in the mid 2000s and in the late 90s too, like when Chicago really started to be bad, like bad. Mm-hmm. You could shoot a cannon in there and not hit anybody.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
and
it's a real black mark on the organization.
Think about
it's
absolutely.
The cups are tainted. There's no question in my mind. The cups are tainted.
it's embarrassing for everybody involved, and that's at the heart of this are the victims, and it's so unfortunate. We saw Sheldon Kennedy on Twitter getting involved, of course, after everything that him and his cousin Theo Fleury went through back in the day with Graham James. Now this Kyle Beach thing, and I think the thing that I was offended by the most was just the dismissiveness of, well, we already put out this Block and Jenner report and we made a statement then, and now, I mean, we don't have to talk about this anymore. It's just gone away. It's just, well, it hasn't, Rocky. A lot of people's lives were affected by the negligence of people that you were in charge of. Yeah. Okay, like that's what it is. And I think the most damning thing that was said in those videos was that it's none of our business.
Right.
Well, Rocky, your whole bottom line of this organization is fans coming through the door wanting to be involved.
There were fans sitting 5 feet from him when he went on this tantrum.
I wish I had been there. And Clark,
same with me. As a fan, I would have
stood up and said, Rocky, it is my business. I line your pockets.
Exactly.
Bud.
I wish a fan had
$300 for this jersey.
Yeah. I wish there was a fan.
$50 for this hat.
Yeah. I wish there was someone.
$5,000 for season tickets to sit in the upper bowl. It is my business.
Right. Absolutely. It's my business.
It's such a joke. What an embarrassment. He should be gone. As far as I'm concerned, he should never be involved with a sports organization. No. I don't want this guy pouring Gatorade at a little league.
But game. I think Bettman's got to be responsible too. I really do.
Well, if he had any qualities of leadership, I mean, this guy can't even get a franchise to make any money properly, let alone stand up for human rights. Yeah. Gary Bettman. Hell of a leader. Type of guy you'd really want in your foxhole when the bombs are dropping. Absolutely. Gary. Thanks a lot, Jerry. Unbelievable. Let's talk about another goofy thing just to end off. Just try and lighten the mood, I guess. Just this NHL All-Star Game, man. Have you seen the stuff they're doing with the skills? Like they're gonna.
I've heard some stuff, Ryan, and I tell you what, I don't care. And I haven't really. I heard they're doing
the players don't care, Clark.
Players cards or whatever, playing cards for. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, they're trying to make it different, and I give them credit. And it's in Vegas,
sure,
and it should be. It should be fun. And for the most part, I would think players would want to go to Las Vegas, even if they weren't taking part in an All-Star game. But we've heard that there's some that have refused and they're not going. But you know what? Like, it's just, why do we have this? It's just a money grab for the league. That's the only reason. It's only important to the people in the town that it's in. And it's freezing cold right now in Vegas too, by the way. But
is it?
Yeah, I heard it's really cold there because I think the Pro Bowl's there this weekend too.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I mean, and again, hey, there's another great example of something that's completely useless. I was on a podcast just before this, talking with somebody about this, and I basically just said then, like, this is for the kids. Like, it's for kids. Like, that's it holds zero entertainment value for me. And I mean, my boy Ovi, how about that? What a clutch positive COVID test to not have to go and suffer a 1-game suspension, which is embarrassing too. Like they have to, the NHL All-Star Game is such a joke that they have to tell guys, I'll suspend you and take salary if you don't show up.
Yeah.
And like,
and like the one player from every team, like it's ridiculous.
So bad.
Like, let's move on from that. If you want the best players, like Mitch Marner and like, dude, like guys like, and I'm not, hey, you know what I feel about Mitch Marner.
No, Mitch Marner should be there.
Thing. He's an extremely skilled player, and it's a perfect game for him to be skilled and showcased in.
I'm wearing a Caps hat. I'm the biggest Caps hat. Dude, Tom Wilson is going in the place of Ovi, which in a sense I really like because so many people are fired up about it. Not just
who made that decision, Ryan? Who picked that? The Caps?
I believe
they get to pick.
If I'm not,
who picks that?
If I'm not mistaken, because Ovi was the Caps voted in rep, and Kuznetsov's going as well in place of someone who left as well. They are able to I think they could have picked
the team
Backstrom, or
so I think the team picked it.
I think so.
So that like Gary Bettman's probably thrilled with that too.
I think it's fantastic. I hope he gets in a fight at the All-Star game. I really
It was
do.
like when
But
his name got voted in the Sabre. What was his name? The big Scott, John Scott.
Oh, John Scott. Because I was going to say, because the show I was on before this asked me, can you remember a time when a guy, and obviously John Scott, but I weight this similar to, you remember, and I believe it was 1990 when the coaches picked the teams.
Yeah.
And Mike Milbury took Chris Nyland.
Yeah.
And Chris Nyland had a career year that year back home in Boston. I think he had 22 goals, Stanley Cup winner. Mike Milbury, fancy that, got carved apart by the national media, destroyed for taking Chris Nyland. So it does make me giggle a little bit that Willie's going, but
I think, as I mentioned, I think that they have to eliminate this one player per team. The only stipulation I would leave in is a player from the home team. Now, it's not a problem this year, but it could be a problem one year. And I think the home team needs representation. So that's fine.
I agree.
But let's move on from having to have an Arizona Coyote there. And
why is an Arizona Coyote there? Or a Senator? Dude, the Island, and no disrespect to the kid. I mean, he's a heck of a player. Adam Pelech is there because the Islanders are so bad this year that they can't even, like, Matt Barzell's not worthy of going because like the whole team is underperforming. Adam Pelech's going. Adam Pelech and Tom Wilson. Matt Martin. Adam Pelech and Tom Wilson are competing in the hardest shot competition.
Will they break 90?
Yeah. Oh, dude, every NHL player is breaking 95, 96 when they lean into one. Are they going to hit 100? I don't know. Willie's a pretty big boy, but you just...
Anyway, we say the same thing every year. The same thing. Why do they have this? It's for the kids. You're right. It's for the kids. It's for the hometown city. It's for Vegas. It's for wherever it is. That's the only reason they do it.
I know that we're the old man yelling at the cloud right now a little bit. I understand.
Oh yeah, but the TV ratings suck. People don't.
No one watches it.
Like people are more interested. Like they have made it a little more interesting with 3-on-3, but
it was cool the first year, and then it's just like another gimmick. There's nothing to it. And I'll say in closing, I guess I feel a little bad for the NHL in this respect because, I was talking about this with my friend on another show. Like, you can't translate what the sport is into an all-star game where the game actually doesn't matter because like baseball's got the best all-star game, but that's because the baseball all-star game still looks like baseball.
Well, here, and I'll tell you why. It's such an individual sport. There's no other sport like baseball that's a team sport that's more individualized. And when you put a guy on the field in baseball, they can compete at the highest level. And that's the only all-star game where people can really do it because
I agree.
You don't do it in any other sport. Like, hey,
even basketball.
When Wendell Clark hit Mario Lemieux in an all-star game. And, that those days are long gone. Pete Rose ran over a catcher in an all-star game.
Wasn't that Ray Fosse when he broke Ray Fosse's leg?
Yeah. And, so baseball is such an individualized sport that's the reason baseball all-star games seem to work. And they've also put some importance on the game because whoever wins the game hosts the World Series.
That's not
home field advantage.
That's not true anymore. They got rid of that.
Oh, sorry. They got rid of it. Well, that was the only reason I used to watch it.
I know, because I was just going to say.
We had a tie game a couple years ago, went 13, 14 innings, and Bud the Stud there pulled the plug, remember?
I do remember that. Now, I can't remember how long
anymore,
it was.
right? Okay.
No,
okay,
it doesn't. It doesn't determine the host anymore, and I think they should actually put that back. I think
it gave it some importance, but I guess at the end of the day, the team that is the home field advantage in the World Series shouldn't have it rely on who won the All-Star game.
So I think that's what it was when the CBA that we knew now expired. When it got renewed, I think that was one of the things that they altered because, it would be wonky if the two World Series teams met and one was a wild card team, say, and one won 105 games. And
but it's happened.
105 doesn't have home field advantage.
Right.
I think that's what
I'm not up on the news, and I'm not also up on what happened with the Canadian soccer team? Are they in? Like, what happened? All I saw yesterday about
They are in
times. All I saw is a goal that went off the guy's knee or whatever and was a fluky goal. But did they win the game?
They did. They won 2-0.
Oh, so they're in.
Jonathan David. No, they're not in. They're not in.
I thought I heard if they won, they were in.
They had to
Fake
win.
news?
The U.S. and Mexico had to lose. Costa Rica, I think, had to tie.
Well, they're going to get in, right?
But they're in the the driver's seat. They're 5 points clear at the top.
They haven't lost a game.
Yeah, and they're undefeated. Believe they tied Mexico.
Lost a game. That's what I said.
Yes, they haven't lost a game. I believe they have 4 games left, including games against Mexico and the U.S. I think they finished the octagon against Panama. Like, they are in the catbird seat. They're going, and it's really, really incredible. What a shame that the World Cup is in, such a brutal place as Qatar, where, they just kill 1,000 migrant workers to build a stadium. So what a shame. Anyway, yeah, sports, aren't they fun? No moral ambiguities here. Anyway, we appreciate everybody watching this show. You can watch us Friday nights at 8, Sunday nights at 9 with our friends on Whiteman TV. That's on channel 6 for Whiteman subscribers. We debut every Friday night at 9 o'clock on our YouTube channel. You can follow us on social media at Instigating Pod on Twitter and Facebook. And you can find this show in podcast form on all the best podcast apps, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We appreciate you guys listening to and watching this show, brought to you as always by CoolBet, our friends at the Listowel Squash Courts and Listowel Vision Care and See the Game. That's Clarkie. I'm Drury. This has been another great week here on Instigating with Clarkie and Drury. We'll be back next week.